Legends, g'day superstars, Peps and Jdog. Week 1 of the AFL finals is over. A massive 4 games, lots to talk about. One disappointed co-host. I was there on Friday night. Let's get into it. I'm Peps, the great man Jdog. How are you, big dog? More importantly, how are you feeling? The world wants to know, how are you feeling after the events of Thursday night?
I'm feeling fine. I was about half a second away from getting cancelled off the off the internet, losing my job if I kept going with my statements before, Peps. So thank you for saving my bacon.
That's all right. Yep. I did. You just would have seen me go live. Don't worry, it wasn't live. Everything was good. Hey, massive 4 weeks. Massive round of footy, Jado. Could you believe how good the first week of finals was? Upsets, thrillers, hangers, goal of the year contenders, and more importantly, a team that had lost its first 5 games is now, you could almost say, one of, I reckon, 3 teams that can win it.
Were we watching the same 4 games of football?
I was. Yes, I was. And I want to hear from everybody live on the chat, live on YouTube, live on Facebook tonight. I want to hear everything that you have to offer about a cracking 4 games of football. Yeah, it was all started on your Friday night or Thursday night with Port and Geelong. The brilliant game. I was there on the Friday night. Hawks.
Great game. It was a great game. Loved it. Beautiful.
I want to hear talk to you about that. I want to get your highlights and what you really enjoyed about that.
Oh, lots of highlights. We're going to be here for a while then.
And then the Saturday special. What a Saturday special. The Battle of the Bridge. It's the new showdown. It's better than the showdown.
No, it's not.
Because you actually get a contest. And finally, the Saturday night special where everybody who wasn't a Carlton supporter had a smile like Luna Park from ear to ear going, this is just awesome.
That was pretty good.
How good was it? All right, buddy. All right. Before we get into that, anything that you want to share, anything you want to bring up, anything just non-finals related that you want to bring up with the beautiful listeners, beautiful viewers?
Yeah. Where do we go, Peps, with this one? Do we no, let's save it for a little bit later, the news that we have received tonight about something that we're up to. We're going to save that.
Well, it's going to be a bit exciting, isn't it? I think
it is going to be exciting. Any news outside of football?
Wow.
Not really, Peps. I mean, what are we going to lock in? I suppose the biggest news coming out of today is the unsurprising news that Bailey Smith has decided to say sayonara Western Bulldogs after they bundled out.
Well, you know what? This was coming virtually from the start of the season. Even the end of the last season, they were saying that he was on his way out.
Correct, yeah.
I don't think it's that big of a loss.
Ooh.
No. I don't think the loss of Bailey Smith is that big. Now, the only thing that I believe is that he does take a bit of pressure off the Bont, because if you have a look at the game on the weekend, and we'll go into it a little bit deeper, but with it was almost no Bont, no Western Bulldogs, and it almost showed on Friday night that he had a shocker, and he's allowed to. He's only played really one bad game for the entire season, which was the final. But without him firing, there was really no one else to take it to that next level. It was really disappointing. So he would have been able to help with that, but to be honest, I don't think that he's A grade.
Is he the first of the other than the Petrarca stuff? Is he the first of the big names to declare this early?
No, you've had Liam Baker, Shai Bolton have already said that they want to go. Alex Neil-Bullen.
Oh yeah, sorry, I forget about that because they said they were out halfway through. It felt like.
Yeah, I think this is the biggest one for a team in the finals who's left. But take into account he hasn't played all season because he's had an ACL, so not really losing much, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
All
right. Do you want to get into the games?
I would love to get into the games. Can we start with? We have to start with the elephant in the room, and it was the Thursday night game between your mob and Geelong. I have a question for the listeners and the people live with us. Did you see it coming? Or if you were like me, who were blinded by the, as Donald Trump would say, fake news, the fake news that was Port Adelaide, because I tipped them to win. I thought that they would be good enough. You, my friend, for a long time said, no, they're not going to be good enough. And you were right. But how do we get it so wrong? How do we get 84 points wrong? That was what I want to understand how we got there.
Do you want me to just go, or what would you like, Peps, from me?
Listen, if you've ever wanted to, in Can We Trust, blow that out of the water, now is the time. Craig Jones has already gone. I just want Port to not fucking play players who are injured. We fucking did it last year, and it blew up in our faces. He's already had the crack. It's over to you, Jdog. The next 5 minutes are for you. Sit back, listeners. This could get raunchy.
No, I'm okay. I will go through the emotion of what I went through from Thursday through to where I am now. Just a quick shout before I do that, though. Craig Jones, thank you for your at the game things. You are beyond amazing how you sat through 4 quarters of that at the ground. I don't know how you did it, because by halftime I'd basically switched off. So I will start with a Thursday night, and I will start with the thing that all Port Adelaide supporters knew. And it's not how we go in the 22, 23, 24 rounds of the season. It's always finals. And nothing that happened to Port Adelaide coming into Thursday was surprising. The loss, we knew it was probably coming. All the hoopla around blowing up Ken and all of that and all this stuff, it meant absolutely nothing, because Port supporters knew that a loss was almost but guaranteed. What transpired from it, Peps, was one of the most amazing capitulations of a forward, a mid, and a back line that I've almost ever seen, to the point where that's probably in the top 5 losses that Port Adelaide's ever had, including the 119, which I probably put this on par of. Such was the performance of the whole ground. In areas where that we should have been the strongest, we were the weakest. We played injured players, as Craig has said off the chat. Our back line, I don't even put this on them, because they were so swamped, because our midfield just went to complete sleep, that any back line would have struggled with what was coming in and the speed which that ball was coming in. I think at one stage the stat was basically almost 2 scoring shots out of 3 entries. Like, it was just unbelievable from Geelong. It was a crazy statistic.
That first, look, I was coming home from a concert, a school concert, and I think the drive home is about 8 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I think they smashed 3 in 8 minutes. And the commentators were going berserk at some of the stuff that they were doing. And the shock in their voices is if to say, we can't believe Geelong are doing this, but we can't believe that we're allowing Geelong to do this. How is Port Adelaide just not showing up at our home final? And it's not the first time this has happened. You were just completely outplayed. The forward line didn't do anything at all, like you said.
Nope.
George Yardies looked like he was primed in the first 15 minutes. I know he's probably your only semi-winner. He was the only one really having a crack. Radagalia and Charlie Dixon, or as I called them on the chat the other day, Dali Kixon and Rasava Adagalia, the Timu version of the Port Adelaide football forward line, were woeful. He shouldn't be. Dixon he's finished. Like, he looks like Tarzan and plays like, well, Jane would be an inside. Maybe more Bubbles the chimp. He looked like.
I would argue to the fact, and I think we can all agree that probably Dixon's at his last career, if not last game for Port Adelaide.
Yeah.
I would say he's probably been a pretty underwhelming big forward. Like, we paid a bit of money for him, pretty underwhelming. Overall, underwhelming. If that is his only mantra, if his only thing was to compete, there's a 6'2" guy down here in Torquay who's bald that could probably do something and just put his hand up in a pack. I could do that, Peps. Pay me 20 grand.
What are you talking about you then? Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
You look compete. You put the hand up to just hit a pack and put your hand up. I could do that role. You could do that role. 90% of the listeners on our show could do that role just to compete.
Yeah, it was pretty average across the board. But you know what, Jamie? For every look, and Farrell and Houston not being there, like that's where if there's one thing that I've learned after watching the footy on the weekend, power forwards are a waste of money. Give me a small forward who puts pressure on and can kick 2, 3 a week any day of the week, and elite kickers off halfback is where the money is. They set up everything. And no Houston and no Farrell off that halfback line. Myers and Close were just like, are we actually playing on anybody? They were just up and down. Stengel, up and down.
Cameron taking Ali all the way up and then just sprinting him back. Peps, so that was me. So I was absolutely furious after the game. And I'm absolutely amazed that people. And look, on TV, it didn't look like there were many people there from 5-10 minutes into the last quarter. It looked like the ground had emptied out completely, other than Geelong supporters, which Peps, I used to be a hardened, you stay to the end, da 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 da. I'm now the opinion of you pay your money, you can do what you want. You can do what you want.
Yeah, you've got stuck into me a few times and I've left early.
Yeah, you can do what you want.
You know what? It's funny. Someone said to me, you know what? The players can't leave early. I said, yeah, I know. But they left early. They finished up their work a long, long time ago. That's why I'm going. Like, you get to a point where you're just like, I can't watch this anymore. It's no disrespect to the players, but what's the point? We're not going to get anything out of it. I'll beat the traffic.
Yeah. So I went from that, Peps. Angry Thursday night. Friday, seething a little bit. But then what I started to do on Saturday and Sunday, Peps, is I'm starting to think about, well, my God, the fact that Geelong have been up for the best part of 2 decades, making 14 prelims out of 16, whatever the stat is. I don't know what the stat is. 14 out of 18 or something like that, right? And do you know what it got me thinking, Peps? And it got us thinking, reflecting onto my club, your club as well, and other clubs around the situation. It's why is Geelong so successful as it is? And for me, what it comes down to is they know what success looks like. And what they do really well is they keep those successful players around. They bleed in new players when they need to. And they have this generational standards that are set by those original, I suppose you'd call them, foundation stone.
Mm-hmm.
And they keep them around and they bleed in new players. And those standards never slip. They never slip.
And I thought he was a bit of a knob for a long time. I've come around. He is the best coach in the league.
Undoubtedly. The most important person in the Geelong 44.
I never thought about it, but just the way he's able to regenerate on the fly consistently. They've played 14 prelims in 17 years or some ridiculous comment. Like, how does that not blow your mind?
Yeah.
And how does that not blow your mind that year after year, an old part goes, a new one just slots straight in? They are the Melbourne Storm of the AFL. Them in Sydney.
Yeah. And they do it so well because the club was set up on Brian Cook's shoulders and those really steady administration, which all clubs need. But to me, they are a club that has the ability to pull in random players from around any bush league at the age of 26, 24, 23, drop them in, and they are AFL ready. The system works.
I'm going to read this out. This is a guy who played his first season, hasn't played many games at all. Okay. He played his first final on the weekend. He's played 11 games. And against a backline of your caliber, he's come out and he's kicked 3 goals, 23 disposals. He's had 528 meters gained, 3 goal assists. He was on the ground for 91% of the time, 5 tackles, if you don't mind me saying. Sean Manor, this is a guy who played at Werribee that nobody wanted. Geelong picked him up with the crumbs of the draft, what was really left over. He's dominated.
It's unbelievable, isn't it?
Like, it just goes to show if they're a club Tom Stewart's another one. They didn't even, when Tom Stewart was out, I'm going, you have got this in the bag, Jamie.
And the fact that, and I will say it because I live down here, there is a lifestyle factor to Geelong. The fact that you are 10 minutes away from the ground, you're all living in the same space, you all sort of are around each other. You're not having to travel an hour and a half across the grounds, and my mate lives over here, and your mate lives an hour or sub over there, and your northern suburbs at your south. Like, none of that exists. Here, everything is a 10-minute drive.
Yep.
So you can drop around for a coffee. You can go and catch up with your mate and go for a recovery session. You can do this. They have all the pieces to be as successful as they have been for as long as they have been.
You want to go live on a farm, half an hour out? Be my guest.
It's just you can't hate the player. Like, they are as good as they are because they do not have standards that ever slip, and they've got continuity in their list with players who know what success looks like, and they have done that for 2 decades.
Yeah, and it just goes to show you get it right off the field, you're going to get it right on the field. We've seen so many clubs at the moment who are going through off-field turmoil because their administration is a complete shambles, and it affects the on-field side of things. So they're a really well-run club. Kenny, he loses this week, he's gone, isn't he? Or would you say even gone full stop?
I sent you a text, Peps.
Yep.
Because I'm back on the I'm ready to get emotionally hurt field again. I said even Danny LaRusso got knocked down twice before he crane kicked Johnny Lawrence in the face.
Yep.
I don't think we're going to win the grand final, but this is why I have a second chance, Peps. We can get up this week. We can try again, maybe make a prelim and play against, Sydney. But that's the second chance. It's the magic. I'm ready to get emotionally damaged again.
Yep. They're like strippers, aren't they? They just tease you and they tease you and they tease you, and you think that they're just going to get you over the line, and they just never take you to the promised land, unfortunately.
But on your thing though, Peps, Kenny, if he loses, yeah, it's probably done. But also, I don't think it's just a hand the keys over to Josh Carr. I think Port Adelaide really need to look at all options because Josh Carr is responsible for the midfield, and that has not fired quite a few times this year. No,
I was really disappointed. I thought Rosie didn't touch it. Wines, he was probably
starting Horn Francis on the bench for quarter 1 and 2.
It was just like that. And that's not the coach's.
No, it is. That's the coach's call.
No, that would be the line coach who makes that decision.
Carr.
Yeah. So that's just completely stupid. But you just have a little like Cameron kicks his for Bowes. A comment came through about Jack Bowes. This has come from Craigie Jones. Craigie said the concern he says, how's the AFL allowed them to get a trade that netted them Bowes plus pick 8 for a packet of chips is disgraceful? Well, the reason why is they took on his wage. It was a wage dump. That's why he got him. What I wasn't happy with is that they and I'm throwing some numbers around here, so don't quote me while hot, but it was like it might have been $1 million over 2 years. They then took that and then spread it over 3. Now, I was more peeved at that. Like, if you've traded in for this under those, you shouldn't be allowed to then get it and then split it. They got away with it. Brilliant. But they just do things so well down there, and they're bigger bodies. They just look fit. They run hard. You throw Stewart back into that mob. I don't know. But there's even players that just blew my mind.
They have years in finals that other clubs don't have.
Lawson Humphries. Did you know who Lawson Humphries was before the game on the weekend?
No.
I bet you know him now.
Tore us apart, yes.
Because he was just kicking left, right, whichever one. He is just, I'll kick whatever 10 games into my career. I don't know. They were just stunning. Absolutely stunning. Even the better thing to come out of is now we get another final in Melbourne. We get a prelim at the G, because it was looking like we might have only had one final for the entire final series at the G, which was last Friday night. But we got another one. So thank you. Thank you, Port, for giving us all that.
That's what we do.
That's what we do. So you're playing against the beautiful Hawks this week. Now, I'm going to say I got to see the Hawks versus Dog. He's 97,000 there. I turned up, couldn't get a seat, had to go and stand in the public area because there was nothing available. The allocation of seating in the MCC was gone 10 minutes after the doors opened.
Wow.
That was you couldn't get a spot anywhere whatsoever. Hawthorn, I can't find a weakness in them, Jdog. That I just cannot find a weakness in them. They made the doggies look second rate. They had players in their teens playing their first final that looked like seasoned veterans. Kel Shadir, he was just clunking. Who was playing on Nick Watson? I won't call him the wizard because there was only one wizard, and his name was Jeff Farmer. All right. So it was just, they were just so good. Like John Newcomb through the middle, Sicily down back, crazy frost ball. How Essendon got rid of D'Androsio, it just goes to show Mitchell, from what I'm seeing right now, will be the next Brad Scott. He seems
to have pulled off his own ego of being Sam Mitchell, the football player, I must be tough coach, to just letting his kids play.
And I reckon he's got barriers. He would have set up barriers. He would have set up restrictions, because if he doesn't set them up, the players will set their own. And that's where clubs go wrong, when the players take control and not the coach. And I reckon he would be like, he'd be hard but firm. You know, you wouldn't want to piss him off, because I'll tell you what, he'd give you an absolute spray. But like, you're looking at names like Lloyd Meek, who Fremantle gave away for a packet of chips. Bang, dominates. Like I said, Massimo D'Ambrosio. Essendon didn't want to play him. They put him on a wing. Bang, virtual All-Australian.
They are impressive. It's the speed of which they get to the outside of a contest, which is genuinely terrifying. And then they have forwards that will absolutely clinically finish you off.
Jdog, the one thing that surprised me so much, and this is from an outsider watching the game, they switch at every opportunity to open up the ground. They do not kick down the line. It comes in one way, it goes out the other. The amount of run that the midfielders do back and forth, not just up and down, but across from one side to the other, it's old school footy. And it's almost like he's got a simplified game plan that says, we run, we switch, we make contests, we put pressure, we kick, we make it as simple as possible. That's it. They don't try to overcomplicate it. They get the ball and they go. No waiting around, no piss farting. They are just so good to watch. And if I was a Port Adelaide supporter, if I was a St Kilda supporter, if I was I won't go North Melbourne. They're in a bit of a different situation. But if I was an Adelaide, if I was Essendon, I would be sitting back and saying, how is it that a club that was so far down 2 years ago is now not just a top 4 premiership contender, and our club has got nothing, has done nothing, with a lot less star power?
I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit on that one there, Peps. They've had one season. All clubs are capable of that one season. Let's see what they do after 3 seasons or 4 seasons.
We'll worry about that when we cross it. But I'm talking about the now. They've gone from 0 to hero in the space of a season.
No, less than. In the space of 19 weeks.
But none of those other clubs that I've mentioned have been able to do that over 2 or 3 seasons. Oh, you got to give them a couple of seasons to get into it. Oh, it takes a bit of time for us to get the game plan. Oh, it takes a bit of time for them to understand each other. Sam Mitchell has just gone, no, it doesn't. Just play football like this, work for each other, believe in each other, do the hard yards, and it will pay off.
Mike
Jones is going, Port did that in 2013. That was 11 years ago. Bit of a while ago. But I'm talking about what's happened right now is exceptional. They are just so good to watch.
I have a question though for you, Peps.
Yep.
Is it sustainable, the amount of running and the amount of effort that a game style like that requires of you at this age of what their profile is? Is it sustainable to take that right through to the finals?
Yeah, I think it is.
Like they've got to play another 2 games to get to the grand final if they are successful.
Yep. And if they don't make it, right, so be it. But gee, they're exciting to watch.
I agree with that.
Thing. I would rather watch that than a dour any other club. I'd rather watch them over my mob any day of the week because of the dour defense first. They take risks, Jdog. They kick the ball through the middle. They try and take the middle every single time. I can understand why 97,000 turned up on Friday night because they wanted to see, can this bunch of kids do what they've been doing over the last number of weeks? Can they do what they've been doing for so long in a pressurized final spot against a team that's been in just as good as form? And they took them to the cleaners.
Yeah, I agree. They were very, 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 very slick. And the midfield we spoke about just did not fire for Western Bulldogs at all. Couldn't get their hands on the ball.
No, they couldn't. I caught it with my mate, the great man BG's, Baran Grant and his family at the end. They're massive Hawthorn supporters. And they were just like stunned. And he wasn't a big fan of I'll say it, the wizard. But he goes, I love him now because he's not a superstar, but I love him because he just kicks goals. Like, he kicks goals. What do you want? Like, you just want players to kick goals and do their job. That's what the forwards for Western Bulldogs didn't do. And I've got a bone to pick with the commentators out there as well.
Ooh.
Yeah.
You're not going to go something they said, and then you're going to drag back something you said 15 years ago, are you?
Nope.
No, I know you are, aren't you?
Nope.
Okay.
Jdog.
Oh, here we go.
Aaron Norton.
Okay.
Is not a superstar. Jamara Ugle-Hagan is not a superstar.
Okay. We're going to do this.
No, I am sick to death of these players being called superstars when they haven't earned the right to be a superstar. Because I watched the 2 of them play on Friday night. I'm not putting Sam Darcy into this, but they're even saying he's a star. He's played, 1 season?
Yeah.
Stop throwing around terms on players who haven't earned it. The Bont, he is a superstar. He's earned it. Best and fairest, all Australians, premiership medals. Okay? I just get sick of it thrown around and just put on people and they don't deliver in finals. That is where you are made a hero. That is where you stand out.
Torrey just chucked something at you, Peps.
I call you superstars because you are. And there's a reason for it later on, which we're going to get to.
Peps, I somewhat agree, but we do the same thing with Kerno and we do the same thing with Mackay. We call them superstars of the game.
Well, Kerno's an interesting one because he has won 2 Coleman medals in a row. True, has a really bad finals record. That is where your career goes from here to here. Not many people win a best in finals. Right? If you ever won a best in finals. I did. But all I'm, aren't you a 300-game superstar, Peps? I'm sick of hearing it. Yeah, I am a 300-game superstar. Life member. Buzz is getting stuck into me again, Jdog down the bottom. Yeah, standard. But nah, it's look, I take the piss out of myself more than anybody. You do it as well too. But I just get sick of people being called superstars, but they haven't really earned it. They haven't given me a real reason, because I would say that careers are built through the season, but they're enhanced and solidified in the finals. And that's where you want to make your mark.
Maybe next year you can do like a little Peppapedia, where you can like define what superstar is. To put like a little spiel about what a superstar is, like what you have to be to become a superstar. You've already defined a bag as 5 goals.
A bag is 6 goals. Don't be stupid. Don't get smart with me. Anybody know the
Like
bag?
a little Peppapedia of like Peps's things that define what these categories are.
Yep. No, I reckon that you're so. I saw John Newcombe play on Friday night. There's a guy who is solidifying himself. If he continues on this rise and the way that he's playing, he can because he's not just doing it through the season, he's doing it in finals. He's not going to have an easy task against your mob this week on Friday night. But yeah, they just
All right,
Ginnivan
is a superstar.
No.
Ooh. Okay.
Did you say Ginnivan's a superstar?
Yeah, why not?
Because he's not.
Okay.
Hasn't won games off his own boot. If he had none of this ducking, none of this blonde hair crap that was celebrated for the last 2 years, he'd be just another premiership forward pocket.
Sorry, he won a premiership.
Yeah.
Enhanced in the finals. Played a pretty good season at Magpies. Got traded. Having a pretty good season now at the Hawks.
He's playing all right at the Hawks. Don't get me wrong. He's not a superstar yet.
Okay. All right. One more season, maybe. He's got a premiership.
Yeah, he's got one. I haven't got one. So.
Not you dirty. All right. Let's talk about we spoke about Kerner. Let's talk about the game on Saturday night. Oh, hang on.
The doggies.
Yeah, where to the doggies from here? Where to? What happens now with Beveridge? What happens with that whole structure?
See, I don't know what they can do. They changed the whole structure at the start of this year, if you remember.
They did.
So they can only put the players out there. They've got a really good list. But I do not understand why he didn't play Riley West. That was a strange one.
Yeah, that's an interesting one.
I didn't understand, and they didn't bring anybody similar. They went with the tall forwards, and as soon as they didn't get their hands on the ball, it was over. Yep. So they're in a bit.
If you are a Bulldog supporter, I don't think we have many Bulldog supporters listening to us. Can you just let us know what's happening? What do you think about your club? Because I actually don't know a lot about the Bulldogs and what the inner kennel are thinking.
I would say they're very similar to Melbourne. I think they're very frustrated with their coach, and he needs to move on.
Okay,
that's the feeling that I get. He's been there since 2015.
Is the goodwill gone from there? Because everyone says the 2016 premiership, we all love the doggies, yada, yada, yada. But has the goodwill now worn off?
Of course it has. 8 years ago. Yep. Exactly.
There you go from Buzz. Yep, good comment.
Newland got it. He's no Logan McDonald. We'll get to that at another stage because they were sensational. How good were the Swans? Jdog. Could you take your eyes off that game?
It just goes to show you need to play 3 quarters of football, apparently.
4 quarters of football, Jamie.
No, 3 quarters of football.
Oh, you mean because they didn't turn up for the first quarter? Yep. Fair enough. No, it basically means if you've got a really good midfielder, that's all you need. If you've got an Isaac Heaney, oh my God.
And a Papley, just a Papley on the base, just tapping out a little tune, keeping the goals ticking.
Can I just say my mate went to the game. Scotty Osborne, absolute superstar, Scotty. And he went to that game, and the footage, your video footage of when that siren went, it was out of control. And how good is it? Joel Amartey had two kicks for the day, and you think his first one was the one of the one that put the goal through.
Yeah, amazing.
It just goes to show you don't have to have a great game; you just have to have right there for that last moment.
Oh, and also a blind dribbler, 25 out on the angle, and just on the turn kicked it
out of it, didn't he? Like he pinged that. And the worst thing was GWS should have locked that game up because there were goals that they missed towards the back end of that game.
Toby Green missed a couple.
Oh, Toby Green, Lockie Keefe missed one, missed everything.
Hogan had a stinker.
I wouldn't say that. He was on fire early.
Yeah, but I suppose with the GWS crowd in the fourth, like GWS in the fourth quarter, it was almost like they were just stand like black witches' hats.
Yeah, but Jdog, he's a forward. He can only do what he kicked 3. So, he was clunking everything. He was the only forward who looked like he could do anything. He and Cadman I thought was really good early on. And I agree. I think for 95% of the game, they were the best team. It was just that last 15 and a half minutes, it was almost like when they started chipping the ball around with about 5.5 minutes to go, that's way too early. You've just got to, because I know you go into a defensive mode from the way you're trying to retain the ball, but the thinking, that extra working into space that you would normally do when you're attacking, you don't do. You don't go for the ball as hard. And that showed that the contests that they were dominating early in that game, they fizzled in the back half. And so contests that they were getting to, they weren't. And that allowed Sydney, especially Heaney, Warner, to just blow their way. I thought Jordan was good in that back end of that second half as well. They were just.
Have you seen Predator?
Yes.
I mean, Heaney just reminded me of when the Predator would just turn up in the shrub out of nowhere and just be there with the ball ready to go. Like anytime GWS tried to move the ball, Predator Heaney would just come out from behind a player and just intercept or steal or mark, and then it would be back down Sydney's forward line.
And then he'd look at Toby Green and go, "Want some candy?"
But he would just, and I think Warner had a quieter game than what he is capable of.
But what about his second half?
Oh, yeah, unbelievable. But in terms up to that point.
Dude, that last quarter, I think he had 9.
Yeah.
In that last
9, yeah.
No, not. But his clearances, like he's just. They have the most dangerous midfield going around. Because when they get on song, when those two get on song, they just bring everybody in. Their backline stood up happily. Like it was that spark that they were missing. He turned up.
He kept a minute for the first half of the game.
Yep. He was just amazing. Like just a fantastic. And don't take anything away from GWS because they were sensational as well too. Like Peatling probably had his best game. Lockie Whitfield was okay off halfback, but he still makes like stupid errors. And there was even one I remember in the last 2 minutes of the game. He got the ball coming off halfback, and one of his teammates, it might have even been Peatling or Cumming, was sprinting to the other side of the ground. Now he was open, he was free. It might have even been with 30 seconds to go. He was free. There was no one near. He hasn't just missed him, Joe. He's missed him by about 10 meters.
Yeah, straight over his head. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
For a person who's an all-Australian elite halfback on mega bucks, all he had to do was hit him on the target, hit him on the chest, and then they were streaming with 30 seconds to go. And as you know, you can win a game. You can kick not just one, you can kick 2 goals in the space of 30 seconds if need be. And so I think they tightened up right at the end. So as Sydney got a little bit loose, they tightened up, and it was the complete opposite at the start of the game.
Yeah,
they were magnificent to watch.
Tori just said here, Papley, Grundy, and Heaney. Wow, didn't Grundy play for Melbourne?
Yeah, Collingwood played for Collingwood.
I just remember you guys saying you needed a ruckman to play for your team this year.
Let me just move on. Please move on. But even someone like James Jordan, like he had the tagging role as normal. He only had 12 touches, but in the last quarter there was a couple of tackles. But there was that bullet-like pass that he drilled in the last 5 minutes of the game, 4 minutes of the game. And I don't know, he split 3 players and just dropped it on the player's head. He went back and kicked it. They're the moments that make you. So, he's not a superstar. He's far from it. Yeah, he's won a flag, but he's not a superstar. They're the moments that just make you go, right, if you're here, that's all you need to take it to the next. I thought they were in a lot of trouble early, Sydney. I've got faith in them. I think that they can squeeze anybody and get back into a game better than anyone.
You back on?
I'm back on. Yeah, I'm back on. I'm
not yet. I'm not convinced. No. I think prelim and grand final requires a 4-quarter effort, and I'm sick of seeing a 3-quarter effort from Sydney.
They do. What do I say? They always start slow, don't they?
They do, and they do.
Other 5-goal loss. So they're going to have to turn that around because if they play, let's just say they play Hawthorn, they're not going to let them off the hook at all. Where do you see GWS, mate? Are you concerned about what they served up and how the game finished out? Or do you think that, okay, it's one of those things that happened, move on?
No, I think GWS's rebuild is. I feel like it's probably a couple of years ahead of where they probably thought they were at. I think that Kingsley has been coaching amazing this year to get them to fourth position to where they were. Like, yes, there's been some abnormalities where Fremantle fell out of the sky.
Yep.
But to get that squad into fourth position in your second year of coaching,
yeah,
that's a pretty bloody unbelievable effort.
It's not just that; it's players like we know what you're going to get from, like I said, Whitfield and Josh Kelly, Tom Green, Callan Ward, Himmelberg, Perryman, like these ones that have been around for a while, Cornelio, etc. Toby Graham. But you have a look who were their most dominating players on the weekend from a points perspective. It was players like James Peatling, Finn Callahan, who's new.
Yeah.
Tom Green's only in his 5th season. Kieran Briggs, they had the big mummy. He's an absolute freak. He's got bung shoulder, but he's still having a crack. Connor Uden, Jesse Hogan, and Aaron Cadman. How good were they? Jack Buckley, Darcy Jones, the little fella with the helmet. He just sparked them up. So they've got the old experienced heads from the last number of years. It's these newer names that are coming in. They're bigger bodies as well too. That's what I love about GWS is that they're not young kid bodies. They are big, solid units. And I really like the way that they're just playing for each other. They lost by a goal.
Yep.
That's the way you got to look at it. They'll take on Brisbane this week. They should win that, and then they'll play Geelong at the G, and they won't be scared of that.
No, I like the fact.
You can say what you want about Jeremy McGovern. I'll take Sam Taylor any day of the week.
Okay.
Any day of the week. He was in that first 3 quarters. He was stopping everything.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I just think that the way that Kingsley has managed to turn these players, like you said, the Himmelbergs and the Whitfields and the Cornelios and all those people that you said they're all done, they're all past it, they're not in tune with the club anymore. They're tradable, they're gettable.
Yep.
To where they are now, replaying and recapturing what it was probably 3 or 4 years ago that they had, is just a masterstroke by Kingsley.
Totally agree. It just goes to show a fresh voice around, and choosing the right voice for the right group is massively important. And that's why, Kenny going over to West Coast, which is getting stronger and stronger every single week, I don't think is the best choice.
You think they need to go fresh?
Like
Mitchell, like Kingsley, like Uze, like...
I think you need someone who's relatively out of it. I just think the game is changing so much these days. Unless you're a really good man manager and you've got a really good support structure around you, if you're not up to date and being willing to say, you know what, this is not working, I'm willing to change. So I reckon Ken could be quite stubborn. I reckon Goodwin would be very, very stubborn. Clarkson would be stubborn. I think a lot of these older coaches would be stubborn and don't have the free thinking to do what Kingsley's done.
Are you saying that the Suns have stuffed up
with Hardwick?
By getting in Hardwick? Are you doubting?
No.
Dark side, Peps, with me.
The reason why I do believe in Hardwick is that he had a very similar situation to what he had with Richmond, and he was able to foster that to get their best ever result in a season. They didn't play finals, but it's their best season result ever.
Consider yourself lucky. Otherwise, Tommy Roca would have been calling you up tonight.
Oh, I know. The other team that we have to maybe have a few phone calls, and I'd love to hear from the listeners, the viewers, everybody right now. This was a certain little game on the Saturday night, which didn't get too much coverage over the weekend. It's been very quiet on the airwaves, which was the Brisbane Lions beating the Carlton Blues by 29 points. I will say, though, that we had a little chat going on the WhatsApp where we were predicting when was Carlton going to get their first score?
Oh, you guys are just a pack of mean people, aren't you?
And none of us got it. When I say none of us got it, we went too early. All our choices went under. That's how bad they were. That was unbelievable, Jdog. Like, Brisbane could not miss, and Carlton could not do anything.
When you have Danaher clunking and kicking them from 50 out, you're like, shit, we're in trouble.
They did have their lapses again, which they normally do.
Yeah.
But they lost it at the selection table.
Well, they didn't have anyone to select. Is that why you're saying that?
They had players to select. But you know what? Why don't we put the guy who's a little bit, in terms of Tom De Koning, we'll put him on the bench. Actually, we'll put him in as a sub. Then we'll put the guy that hasn't played for a year. He can play a full game, but we won't play him on someone who's dominating us. We'll put Orazio on Zorko, who has just taken the P1 double fives completely. There was no stopping him. And then they rushed a guy up who's had his first child that day, I believe, played him for a quarter and a half and get, well, you know what? You're not exactly doing too much, so we're going to get you off.
Well, things there, Peps. Orazio kicked their first goal of the game, so you can't take that away from me.
The first goal of their game.
But I do agree. My God, Carlton looked 1 billion% better when they brought on De Koning. It straightened everything up in that back line.
Jdog, Port could have beaten Geelong. Port would have beaten Carlton on the weekend. That's how bad Carlton were. They didn't score, Jdog. They didn't kick their first goal, until the 24-minute mark of the second quarter.
Yeah, 60 points up. Yep.
It was just awesome football. And it was the same names. It was Neil. It was Zorko. I thought they were just running the ball so much better out of their half-back line. Zorko was just everywhere. The guy's 35, 5 times best and fairest winner, and can still go. He's found the right spot. Just off that half-back line, give me the ball, and I'll distribute it with just precision. Harris Andrews, don't worry about Harry Mackay. Like, the knives are out for Ugle Hagen. The knives are out for Mackay, which I think is a bit rough because there really wasn't much in terms of quality ball coming into that forward line. The small forwards did nothing. Adam Chera is, Buzz has written that Hardwick is a fraud. I reckon Aaron Chera is a fraud. That's daylight robbery, what he's getting and what he's outputting. They've got a great spine, and then they're not that good after that.
I think we're being a little bit harsh on Carlton.
Are we being harsh on Carlton?
I think we are.
Really?
They had 10 of their 22 out.
10 of their 22 out.
Correct.
Really?
Really?
Who wasn't? Curnow? All right, I'll take Curnow. Who else?
Williams is in the forward every day of the week. Lock him in a forward pocket.
He's not. What? He might be due for maybe 1 or 2. Okay. So Curnow and Williams. Yep. Who else?
Who else wasn't playing that night?
Fogarty.
Oh yeah, Fogarty off. Where's he?
McGovern.
Yeah, McGovern. Absolutely.
So you're saying the 3 players? That's it?
No. Who else in the list? I haven't seen the list.
Martin. Come on.
No. Go through the list for me.
Oh, I've got the list in front of me.
Oh, okay.
But all I'm saying is that you've got to cover for that depth, and they're just not. I just don't think that they're that good.
But you've also taken out there a couple of key players. Who else wasn't playing there? Chera was playing. Williams wasn't playing. Fogarty should have been playing if he was not injured. Mackay, absolutely. McGovern, De Koning was playing. Sam Doherty, yeah. Jack Martin.
Jack Farton.
Caleb Marchbank.
Nope.
Marchbank.
Couldn't get a game.
Sam Durden.
Couldn't get a game.
Matthew Cottrell. Like, there's a couple in there, Peps, that's really hard to quite
Dude, they didn't even play a tagger.
I'm not saying it was perfect, but I'm saying that there was 3 or 4 players that would have been effective.
Yeah, but they still got bumped by, but not 0 to like 60 to 0. I just think that their top line are brilliant. And I think that if that next level don't fire and their bottom 6 are not that great, it just puts too much pressure on the usual Cripps, Walsh, Wiedering.
Wiedering.
It puts
Chera, you say Chera as well. Or
Chera, no.
Sard, yeah.
Sard's a shell of his former self. He's not as a run and gun as he used to be. So you know what I mean? Like, they got questions to ask.
Well then, okay then. We're saying you're saying they've definitely played well off. I'm saying it was an all list. Did you expect them to get close anyway?
No. I said that would be the blowout of the finals. I thought they wouldn't even get close. Just with the number of injuries, yes. But you can't bring in 6 changes and expect to have cohesion.
I agree. So then, if we talk about second half, Carlton, what a turnaround.
Jamie,
77 points in the second half of a game.
Jdog, why don't we call it for what it was? Brisbane put the Q in the rack.
You reckon they'd be nervous? There'd be clenching moments of the Brisbane supporters in that fourth quarter?
Whatsoever. They just, the Q was in the rack at halftime. No one's getting back.
Can I say, Peps, I probably am not professional enough to ever sit on a bench of an AFL team. To how the you just whacked your neck. To how the Carlton bench staff weren't on their phones during the first 2 quarters, just like on the Snapchat going, what the fuck, taking photos of the ground. Oh yeah, there's Walshy. No tackles, no possessions, no kicks, no marks. Like, just like stuff like that. To be not on their phones, just like, this game is so boring. I'm going to swipe. I'm going to flick here.
Yeah, they're not allowed to have phones. That's why.
I would have been drawing on my hand or doing something, because that would have been the most boring 2 quarters to sit through for those Carlton bench staff.
Look, the only thing that I can relate to is I sat through a preliminary final where we didn't kick a goal in the first half of a game in 2018. That was as close to anything I've seen in a final, that a team just could not do anything whatsoever. Yeah, so they were. I'll give Brisbane credit though. They played good football. Am I convinced that they'll beat GWS this week? No, not really. I think that they will go out. But it just goes to show that once they do get their ducks in a row, they're a quality unit. I still think there's something about them I just don't trust. I'm going to throw something at you, Jamie. Who do you trust? Let's go through the teams that are still left in the finals. Okay. Do you trust Sydney?
No.
Do you trust Geelong?
Yes.
Okay. Do you trust Port Adelaide?
Absolutely no.
Do you trust GWS?
Yes.
Okay. Do you trust Hawthorn?
Yes.
Okay. So half those teams you've said yes to, half the ones you've said no to.
Mm-hmm.
All right. That's what we've got to keep in mind heading into this week, because your mob are playing Hawthorn outside of a complete turnaround and Hawthorn getting gastro. I don't even see how you're even going to get close.
If we thought we had a problem with the small forward line of Geelong and the speed on the ball, we are in a whole level of shit that we are not prepared for.
So the thing though, I think, is that I think the quality of the forwards for Geelong small forwards are better than Hawthorn small forwards. When you got Close, Myers,
Stengel.
Then you got Ollie Henry
Dempsey.
floating around. Yeah, like it's a bit different. I still think that your midfield, if Will Day doesn't play yet, that's a good.
Huge. Sam Frost not down back.
So I think I don't think you're going to win, but I think you're going to be in a better position because I don't think you're not going to get another another Geelong effort coming through. You couldn't be that bad again.
I'd hope not, but my God, speed killed us.
Yep, and you need some speed on the ball.
Yeah,
you need to do something, and I'm concerned about Rosie. Butters is injured. I'm not too worried about Wines. Jason Horne-Francis, why is he on the bench? I don't know. But we have got 2 games coming this week. We've got the Friday night game. We've got GWS and Brisbane. Or is it the other way around? Other way around, isn't it?
Right.
Yep. And then on the Saturday night, we have the Hawks versus Port Adelaide.
Oh, no, we're not Friday. Sorry, we're Friday.
Port Adelaide on Friday. GWS on, I thought that was right. Oh, why would one team have 8 days and one team get 6 days? Doesn't make sense. Who's going to win Friday night?
Hawthorn.
Who's going to win Saturday night?
GWS.
So that would mean that the week after, we're looking at preliminary finals of GWS versus Geelong at the MCG and Sydney versus Hawthorn at the SCG. That's if everything goes to plan this week.
Take it to the bank. Geelong are making a grand final this year.
You reckon?
Oh, absolutely. Who's stopping them now? They've got to cover to Melbourne. They've got to go to the G.
Yeah, but they don't play at the G all that often, and I think GWS don't mind playing at the G.
Oh, Geelong grand final. I can see it already. Oh God, I can see the Geelong down here with the banners and the Herald Sun poster. Don't make it happen again. Someone please beat them.
Geelong Sydney grand final, Geelong Hawthorn grand final.
A Geelong. Who would? What's the pathways now?
So it's either Geelong.
So Geelong is sitting in the prelim already.
GWS will play Geelong next week if everything goes to plan.
Okay.
The week after will be Sydney versus Hawthorn at the SCG.
I want a Geelong Hawthorn. Just because it will feel like 2008 again. 2009, whatever. Yeah. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
No.
Just to have 2 absolute...
Because then all the Hawthorn supporters that I know get to a grand final and they lose by a point.
Well, I'm glad you said. I was going to say the same thing. 2 of the worst supporter groups in a grand final again. Could I deal with that again?
I just think whoever wins, it is good for footy. Simple as that. But I think GWS would be a chance against the Cats next week. I could probably see mate, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised if it turned out to be an all Sydney grand final.
Or Kenny gets the boys up and we just absolutely, I don't know, Australia toured all the way through. We just keels in the water, weighted keels.
Kenny Viagra. That's the only way he's going to get those boys up.
Winged keels, and we just sail past the boats like everyone else.
You're going to need something. I'll tell you what the listeners are not going to need. The listeners are not going to need to go anywhere else because that was the 2024 Week 1 AFL Finals Review brought to you by Monsieur Pepe and the host with the most. And we have got some pretty exciting news. Jdog and I are heading over to the Melbourne Football Club Best and Fairest Count on the 4th of October. We have got a mandate to celebrate how good we are. We both have to thank the amazing Tori Williams has organized that for us. She is an absolute goddess, and everything that she's going through, we are thinking of you, my dear, because she's been able to organize that for us, and we're going to go in. We're going to have a catch up. We're going to celebrate the brilliance of the lace out year, and we're going to go and watch probably Max Gawn or Trent Rivers take out another BNF. Maybe even
lace out shirts to the boys, cut some shapes on the D floor.
Oh, might even throw a worm in there. See if I can upset another high-powered Melbourne sponsor like I did at the President's Lunch a couple of years ago.
I might try to get myself a Category B rookie spot on the Melbourne list next year.
Yep, I might just try and get a photo with Tom Sparrow just to make Mayor's day.
Gorney and I, Bald Brigade.
Oh, I'm gonna hang out with Clary.
He's the guy to hang around, you reckon?
Yep, or Hunter.
Oh,
yeah.
Is he invited? Really. I don't know if he'd be invited, would he?
No, probably not. But hey, that's the show. We'll see you. I'll bring my tips in later this week, so stay tuned. And fingers crossed, we'll be going live on TikTok next week as well. Everything is being set up, organized. So if you can't get us on any of the normal channels, jump onto the Talk and you get the Dog and the Peps. But
maybe.
Maybe.
We'll see.
Maybe. I've got it all set up. I've just got to figure it out.
Peps might be running solo for a little bit because I could be tapping out for the season.
Oh, when do you finish? When do you go on holidays?
I go on holidays this week.
What day?
Friday.
So that's it. That's no more Jdog.
I might send some correspondence from Bali. If you're in Bali, hit me up on WhatsApp. Hit me up on something. We'll go and have a beer together at the Y Bar. Watch some games.
Yeah, definitely. Easy done. Well,
not you. No. Oh no, you come over. Peppers come over to Bali.
Yeah, well, I'm not working at the moment, so I might as well.
We'll do it live from over in Bali.
Right. Hi, kids. Hi, wives.
Oh shit, the place is falling apart.
That's it. The show's done. Jdog, how do you want your footy, my friend?
Lace out.
I love you guys. Have a great week. Enjoy the footy this week. We'll see you. I'll see you next week.
See you, listeners. Love you.
Love you too.
Might see you next year. I don't know.
Maybe.
See if I can make it work. I don't know yet.